To the Jump. Chris, you are our very first guest on this date in 2016 when the Jump debuted. It is so great to have you join us again 5 years later. Thank you, sir.
Man, no problem, Rach. It's amazing. Don't seem like it's been that long.
I know, right? We're all getting older. Just don't tell everyone. Chris, it certainly does not look like you are getting older. You are averaging more than 17 points, 8 assists, nearly 5 rebounds in year 16. I just want to know how you were even better than you were 5 years ago when we started this show. What about your game do you think you've gotten better at as you have aged?
I don't know. Maybe attention to detail. Just trying to make sure I take care of my body. I think that's the biggest thing. You always want to give yourself an opportunity to be out there on the court to play, and just learning new teammates. The game changes or whatnot, but when you play for a while, the game slows down for you.
Absolutely. Although I think the game always looked like that to you, if you ask me, after watching your entire career. But I'll take that. I'll take that as an answer. The Suns, of course, haven't made the playoffs since 2010. You've got them competing not just for a postseason berth, but home court advantage in your first year with the franchise. What are your expectations for the team this season?
We just got to keep getting better. Keep getting better. We have somewhat of a young team, but we have veteran leadership. We got Jay Crowder, who played in the finals last year, who was a great leader on our team. Book, who was unbelievable. And I think we just keep trying to build. We'll have some wins here. We're going to have some losses there. And we just got to keep building so that when we get to the playoffs, at the end of the day, we ready to have each other's backs.
Devin Booker tweeted back in December, CP put me on the line with Hove today, needed that. For those who don't know, Hove is, of course, Jay-Z. Chris, I don't know what that moment was like in terms of seeing Devin's face, but what has it been like mentoring Booker and DeAndre Ayton through this season?
Man, it's been fun in all the situations. This season is unlike any other season, right? So you don't really get that time off the court and going to dinner with guys. So you just find ways to get to know each other. It's a lot of games and a little bit of time. DA is a big guy who's very impressionable and still trying to figure out his way throughout the league. Book is just ready. He hungry. He didn't have in this league and whatnot. And I think for him, he just wants the stage. And it's cool to be around him and to see that hunger that he has.
And Monty Williams, too. This is a reuniting for you. What shorthand do you guys have after knowing each other for so long? And what can you say about the job he's done with this team?
Yeah, Coach has been amazing. It's crazy to think 10 years ago was when I played for him last. There's definitely a comfort there. We sort of know how to communicate with each other. We learned things from the last time that teamed up together. And it's a lot of new faces with our team. It's a new organization for me, and it's a fun process. You're always learning.
I want to ask you about what's on your sweatshirt right now, because The Undefeated and ESPN Plus partnering to produce Why Not Us, North Carolina Central University men's basketball. This is an all-access docuseries, executive produced by the one and only Chris Paul and our very own Stephen A. Smith as well. It's the first project to debut under The Undefeated on ESPN Plus. So, Chris, what motivated you to become involved with this project?
And what motivated me? Everyone in my family attended HBCUs except for me. And so just paying attention to everything that was going on and knowing LaVelle Moton. I've known him for years, and I followed North Carolina Central, Winston-Salem State, North Carolina A&T. I could go on and on with these HBCUs, but Vail, just to be able to follow him and to see how he connects with the players. And it's more than just basketball. It's about life. And to be able to tell this story, we're extremely excited about and want to continue to tell these stories.
I'm glad you shouted out Coach Moton. He is one of the best to do it at the college level. And he's a character, too, so people are going to love following him and his team in this docuseries. But you got other projects going on, too. We just learned yesterday that you're working on a new book, co-authored by our very own Michael Wilbon. It's entitled 61 Life Lessons from Papa on and off the court, to be released in September. What can you tell us about that, especially about the title, since I know it's in honor of your late grandfather?
Yeah, It's been something very fun to work on, especially really closely with Mike Wilbon and my brother. I've got a chance to learn a lot about myself in doing this. It's about my late grandfather who was murdered when I was in high school. I was 17 years old then, I'm 35 now. So I got a chance to see how that has affected me up to this point in life. And, it's cool to be able to share like a snapshot of my journey and what my life has been like and the things that my late grandfather instilled in me at an early age.
I love being around your family. Your brother, who you mentioned, CJ, has been an incredible partner with you throughout your career. And I'm very fond of your parents, Chris, so I'm thrilled to hear a little bit more about them in this book as well. 5 years, it has been 5 years since you walked onto it. We had a whole different set at that point. What do you remember from that day 5 years ago?
Man, I remember coming in and he was telling me that this was the first episode, right? You didn't have all the bells and whistles you got now.
Nope.
You didn't have all that. You big time now, Rach. You got guest appearances day in and day out, everybody trying to be on the jump. But I think it's a testament to our game, what you're doing, and it's dope. So big shout out and congratulations to you.
Well, we appreciate that. It is a testament to the game, to the sport, to the players who play it, because that is who people are tuning in for every day. It was not quite me and T-Mac standing in front of a chalkboard, but you're right, it was close. So we appreciate the growth of the show since then, and we certainly appreciate you. I am so excited to see all these projects come to fruition, especially your project with the Phoenix Suns. You are on a playoff course this year, my friend. We're looking forward to it.
Thank you so much, Ray.
Thank you. Always so fun. Coming up, we're running back the top 10 plays during the 5 year shout-outs over 5 years. Make and ones, Nuggets whiz, Campazzo open, and in comes Garrison Matthews with the tackle. Richard, what is he thinking?
What kind of contest was that? And I can understand if somebody had done a little bit of something. Yeah, that's not a closeout. That's a clothesline. Thank you.
Close out his career.
God, Rachel, it only took us 5 years to get in sync. That's one of the worst fouls I've ever seen.
By the way, if it's official that
I watched it like 6 times over. I couldn't believe what I was watching.
Yeah, if I now think like Richard Jefferson, my whole life is really going in the wrong direction. Mixed traction. Thunder Grizz. Watch Ja Morant cross up Lou Dort twice.
Oh.
No Lou Dort slander.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Here.
Yeah, he went to Arizona State. Who gives a damn about him? Look, man, we came up with the name, the Dorture Chamber. He was in his own Dorture Chamber right there, and that was uncalled for, and really it was unnecessary, Ja. You could have just dribbled by him.
That'll be the last time he guards him the full 94. I'll tell you that.
Can't have any fear. If you want a nickname like the Dorture Chamber, you can have no fear. 94, regardless of who.
Amazing. All right, let's check out who's in the zone, brought to you by AutoZone. It's the Utah Jazz, who have won 20 of their last 21 games after beating the Clips last night. Now, the Clippers without Kawhi and PG, but the Jazz have been dominant, posting 2 win streaks of at least 9 games this season. No other team has even won 8 straight at all so far. So, Richard, is this a hot streak or a potential title run?
I think that this is a potential title run. They've done everything that they need to do, in my opinion. Like, this is a team that is top 5 in points. They're top 5 in defense. They're number 1 in rebounding. They're number 1 in point differential. I'm not even a stats guy, but when you go break down and look at the team stats, these aren't like little bitty moments that they're having. They're actually dominating teams very, very consistently. How they finish is purely up to them.
Yeah, so this is a team that was essentially the same roster as they had a year ago, and they've just exploded and blossomed before our eyes. Now, they're healthy, and their top competition in the West, the Clippers and Lakers, are not, and health is going to be a major factor. But I don't think I've ever seen a team that has been as close to the Spurs of the last title run the Spurs had in 2014 as this team is. And they're coached by a guy in Quinn Snyder who used to be with the Spurs, and run by a guy in Dennis Lindsay who used to be with the Spurs. They share the ball. They rely on a center to defend the front of the rim. They run a very democratic offense. It took the Spurs were in contention many years. It took a lot of years, a lot of things for them to go right, for them to win titles. I think the Jazz are in contention to win it. Whether they will, let's wait and see. But man, they're good.
Yeah, really fun to watch too. Just they play together, and you can tell that most of that team has been together this whole time in a season where continuity is such an advantage. They are maximizing everything they have to offer. And of course, Quinn Snyder, as you mentioned, fantastic this year and every year, and he is going to be coaching the Western Conference All-Stars, or I guess whoever the Western Conference player selects on his draft team. We'll get to all of that later. All right, let's get to Steph Curry, though, who's still really good. Newsflash, really good, even when he is not at his best on a night where he missed a career-high 15 threes. Curry led the Warriors still to a 15-point fourth-quarter comeback to force overtime, then made a number of key plays down the stretch to seal the win. The Warriors currently 7th in the West. So, Brian, we knew once Klay got hurt again, this was going to be a difficult year for the Warriors, and there was a real range, right, in expectations for them or what people thought that they could accomplish. Is the way Curry has come back and played changed your expectations for the Dubs for this season?
No, and I don't mean that to sound bad. Like, I thought they were a bubble playoff team, and I expected Steph Curry to be great. I'm one of these people who believe that Steph Curry is a top 10 all-time player. And like last night, as good as he was, that wasn't even a top 10 performance that he's had this season. It was, he was good at the end, but it was kind of just average for him. And that's how much I believe in Steph Curry. That's how much I believe in the Warrior way. And Draymond Green is putting on a clinic on how to win basketball games without scoring this year. It's a joy to watch him play. I still think they're a bubble playoff team. I still think they're going to remain there. I could even argue that it might behoove them, especially considering they have the Minnesota Timberwolves draft pick this year, if it's outside the top 3, that it might be best for them to miss the playoffs and get 2 lottery picks in this draft. But hats off to Steph Curry. He's been great for a long time. He's an MVP candidate. He's not surprising me at all.
That face, Richard, is fantastic, yes?
Well, no, I understand. There was a lot of things that we have to unpack that Wendy just said. One, top 10 player. I respect that. I cannot wait to see your top 10 list. And I say this, but knowing that Steph still has more to add to his resume. Next part that I want to talk about is
3 titles and 2 MVPs, Rach. That's a short list.
It's a very short list, and he's going to add to that list before he's done, but I'm just curious to hear your top 10. That being said, the Warriors are right where they are, right where they should be. Steph is having an MVP numbers, stats type season, and they're the 7th team in the conference. So, that being said, what are they? The best that I think that they could do is possibly a second round. I'm not going to ever say a guy that's having an MVP season that's one of the top 10 players of all time should, or maybe their team should think about losing to get a second lottery pick. That's not what top 10 players do. That's not what Steph does. So I think that the Warriors are a very good team. I think a second round, if they're healthy, if they're playing well, but eventually they're going to run into some troubles with a lack of firepower when you start playing against those top teams.
Well, Steph Curry has said it is fun going to the arena every day and just having that challenge of not knowing how a game is going to turn out. There were certainly years where they had pretty serious expectations that they were going to walk into the arena, or as Draymond Green once put it, when we arrived on the bus, we pretty much knew we were going to win. And he said that he's actually enjoyed the process this year of working his way through games with this team, but of course, he will also enjoy the process next year when Klay Thompson is back and they are once again expected to be championship contenders. All right, guys, stick with us because coming up a little later in the show, we're going to run back the top 10 plays during the Jump era, celebrating our 5-year anniversary. You don't want to miss that. And coming up next, we have another guest stopping by who was on our very first show, the one and only Chris Paul. Stick around to hear what his expectations